Hello, and welcome back to the Eternal Witnesses podcast, your favorite podcast for competitive modern, legacy, and vintage Magic the Gathering. I'm your host, Michael Mapson, and obviously I am missing my usual partner, Mark Mara, this week. He had some work stuff that he is taking care of, but don't worry, he will be back in 2 weeks. And instead, I have a great guest. I have the winner of the most recent Pro Tour. How are you, Plummer?
I'm great. Still processing winning the Pro Tour. Like, people have been asking me for pictures at like weeklies, and it feels really weird.
Yeah. Have you like walked around with the trophy yet? Like, I feel like I would be the jerk who like walks into a store and just like sets it down on the table. Like, yeah, I'm the Pro Tour champ. Like,
My mom wanted to see it, so we met at like just like a local bar, and then the bartender came over and said, "Oh my God, is that a Magic trophy?" And, like, roommates really into competitive Magic and asked for a photo, so that was like outside of Magic World, complying with Magic World. That felt weird, but just been leaving it at home. I don't know. Feels a little much to carry a trophy with me.
that's fair. It is weird whenever like the Magic stuff bleeds over. Like, this was a much smaller scale, but just even like I was grocery shopping yesterday, and one of the people in the store was like, "Hey, do you play at this store?" And I was like, "Yes, but like this isn't Magic time. Like, this is I just want to buy my vegetables and move on." No, so for those who don't know you, because you've been playing for a while, do you mind giving us some like backstory on who you are?
Yeah, I started playing when I was like 8, I think. Like, my neighbors just got me into the game, and I was like playing pretty casually. Like, I played standard for a little bit until I realized that my cards rotated and then I couldn't play them anymore. And then, yeah, I stopped playing like any sort of competitive Magic and just like pre-releases and like 60 card casual up until like 2018, which is when I was like, I want to get more competitive. And then I just started slowly grinding and then from there until now I can play Pro Tours and apparently win one.
Nice. And for those who don't know, I know you also play a lot of Moto. Um, so Killa SUV, which where did that name come from?
So when I was a kid, my friend had one of my friends was getting me into competitive Magic. I was too young to legally make an account, so he gave me his old account, which was Killer SUV. I played on it for a really long time, and then I won a Moto PTQ. Sent them all my information, and they were like, "Hey, you're not Matthew Zielinski. Why are you playing on this account? Why are you trying to queue for the PT on it?" So like, I got DQ'd from that PT. Sent them a message, explained to them the situation, maybe embellished, saying that like it was never his account, it was always mine, but they're like, just don't use it again and make a new account. So I went from Killer SUV to Killa SUV, like Boston accent was the idea. It was his account. I don't know what an SUV looks like easily. Like, I'm not a car person at all.
Okay, so you don't actually know where it originally came from.
No, I think he said he wanted to be his like wrestler name or something when he was a kid, but I just kind of stole his online personality.
Okay. That must have been really frustrating to not be allowed to play in that PT.
They gave me a special invite. They were like they were very good about it. So I was very depressed for a week or two until they got back to me and said, "We'll give you a special invite. It's okay." So
Okay, cool. So like do you know like how many PTs you've played at this point?
this was my fourth. I played one online and then all of them this year.
Okay. And what has your success looked like before this one?
I've done well at some SCG events. I got lucky and lost the finals of mini earlier this year, but like my best record at a PT before this was like 9-7. Like went 2-5 at Final Fantasy. Wasn't expecting anything from this PT, just happy to be playing.
Okay. So I'm just curious. I know a lot of people hated the online PTs. So was that like your first PT, or
Yeah,
is that just one of the?
it was my first PT. I was ecstatic to be playing a PT. Like, it kind of sucked. I played Historic and Alchemy, so it didn't feel like, Magic that anyone else can like relate to because no one played those formats. So it can't be like, oh, I remember this format. This is the PT I was playing, because no one remembers Historic. No one remembers Alchemy. But I was happy to play a PT.
No, I mean yeah, that's fair. I guess I would also be happy to play a PT, but I do think, um, I do think that the experience of getting to play in person versus online is just like so different, and I, yeah. But either way, getting to play PT is exciting. Still kind of learning a bit about you. So I know I have played you in Legacy. Obviously you play Modern. You were talking about Standard. Like, do you just play every format or like?
Yeah, I tended to like play the older like I play pre-modern like weeklies semi-regularly. I play Legacy and then whatever the PT format, competitive format is for the season, I try to play that. But I definitely prefer older formats if all things are equal.
Okay, cool. That's kind of what I thought. Are you going to Eternal Weekend?
I'm not. I wanted to, but I'm not like in love with Legacy right now. The only vintage deck I could get was Dredge, and driving to Pittsburgh to play Dredge and Oops All Spells, which are the two decks I would play, doesn't sound like the most fun.
Yeah, I I can understand that choice to skip then. Yeah, it's a shame. Shame you won't be there. Shame you're not loving the format, but yeah, that definitely makes sense. I know people do travel to play Oops. It like it's baffling to me.
I mean, when there's a showcase or something and I have time, I'll play it. Like I can play in 10 minutes. I think the deck is like fun to play once in a while, but I think playing for 10 minutes at a like big paper tournament and then waiting for an hour sounds miserable when playing for 10 minutes and then doing something else for 40 minutes at my house is like fine.
I actually love the break during challenges at home. Just like I use it as time to like, okay, I'll go walk my dog, or okay, I'll go cook dinner. Like, it's so nice. But yeah, I agree with you. At a paper event, it's just like I will sit here and stare at the clock. Oh, it's at -15. Sweet. I hope it starts soon. Yeah. Okay, so back to Modern. So can you tell us like what was your process like leading up to this event? So like I know you and I are on an RC team together. So some like background information for the listeners, but obviously this is a PT, it's a step up from the RC. So like what was your process like? Who did you work with? How did you end up on Belcher?
So Modern felt like super wide open. I hadn't played Modern since Breach was banned, basically. So I just like spent a couple weeks just playing every deck through like a challenge or a league. There was a group of people that I worked with for PT Vegas plus some new ads. So we're chatting, but like nothing. I like playing games with each other. But like I wasn't sure what deck I was playing. I was trying the blue-white control list that the person in the finals was playing because he like won a challenge and it looked pretty good. Was really high on Neoform for a bit. Thought Belcher was a good fallback. Then I got to the testing house and one of the players there was like super high on Belcher and like was like, you should play it, you should play it. Here's how you play every matchup. Was playing it, felt pretty good. Started losing a bit with Neoform to matchups I thought were like buys. Like the day of I switched from Neoform to Belcher.
Oh, okay. You know, I was surprised you didn't end up on Neoform, just knowing what you had been playing. I didn't realize it was such a last minute switch.
Basically I played like 10, 10 or 11 games against Tron with Neoform the morning of decklist submission, and I just like, I thought this matchup was supposed to be like 70-30 or something, and I was like going 50-50 in games, and my opponent did not know what the cards in my deck did. So I was like, this is not a great sign.
Okay, so question for you then. So like how do you know in those situations like that, like how do you differentiate like, hey, maybe I'm having a bit of bad luck today versus like, hey, I need to listen to this and actually adjust?
It's really hard. Like, you're just never going to have enough games out of a deck. It's a statistical anomaly. I was just feeling like, I was just like thinking about the games. It's like, am I drawing really below average? Or are they drawing really above average? And I'm like, game one, he has like 4 or 5 cards that are good. And like, he's just mulliganing for them. And when he has them, I'm not winning. So like, that doesn't seem that unlikely to happen in the tournament. And then like, my deck is doing it as I'm having hands that can turn 3 kill or turn 2 like put a Grizzleband into play, and they're not always winning. So like but it's like it's really just guesswork and like kind of vibes of, is this luck or is this kind of realistic?
Yeah, I have definitely watched people put Crystal Brand into play and lose too many times. Every time I see that happen, I'm just like, okay, it's time to do something else. Like, if you can put like the best creature in the format into play and lose, like, it's not a great sign. Okay, so you seems like you learned Belcher pretty quick then for this event.
Yeah. I would say so. I mean, it's a combo control deck. I've played a lot of combo decks. I played a lot of control decks. So like, it wasn't too hard to like figure out how to play it. I don't think. And the guy again, only like plan in every matchup. Told me how to sideboard for every matchup. So it wasn't like I needed to put too much more into like figuring that out.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's always definitely really helpful to have that person kind of helping you. It's like, did so as even though you were given kind of a lot of the work up front, like, did you have him like play leagues with you, or like did you have him like bird your games, or what did that like process for quickly absorbing the information? How did that go?
We played a lot of games with each other. Like I think playing mirrors of a deck usually helps you learn a deck very quickly because like you see what the deck you're trying to think about what your opponent's trying to do, which is what you're trying to do. So like we played like maybe 20 games in the mirror, like 6 pre-board games, and then like 7 on the draw, 7 on the play, which helped me get like a very good understanding of it. Understand like how to identify this is a kill with Tameshi, this isn't a kill when I'm supposed to be like jamming, and then we just played like a fair number of games against what we thought were the most played decks and try to figure out what our plan was, and we like talked.
Okay. But I imagine you didn't just entirely play mirrors to learn it,
No,
right?
no, no, no. We played against a lot against Tron. I mean, it was funny because I didn't. I played against Tron. I played against Boros. I played against Belcher. That was my assumption for the 3 most played decks. Then, like on Thursday, when Goyos came out as the most played deck, I was like, oh, I've never played this matchup before. So, like, I had someone who I knew played Goyos. I like sent them a message just like when today can just play games online so I can figure out my baseline plan in this matchup. And played enough games on like the only card in Goyos that I'm really scared of is Psychic Fog. How do I make sure they don't resolve a Psychic Fog?
I've played that matchup. It felt pretty good from the Belcher side, and I can't. Looks like you played against it 4 times in the event, which is kind of wild, winning 3 of them. So
I mean, I think that's the thing that I realized is like I just always shocked in on turn 1 on the draw, and they just like over respected Sun Scolding, I think, and they just didn't play Psychic Frogs when they had them, which like worked out really well for me. But
okay,
that was a fun like bluff. Like I don't think people like bluff enough in Magic, so when you go against that, people over respect you representing what you.
yeah, people. I think you're right. I don't think people bluff very often in this game. I think it's just like I think it's scary, right? Because like if you are like, oh, I have this, and then your opponent just calls you on it, or like isn't on the same level, so like they don't understand the signals you're giving, then like you just get
Yeah,
blown out. I think
yeah,
people are
yeah.
just
And I don't think I could shock in on turn 1 against, a random person like at an RCQ or something and have them respect Sun Scolding as much as someone who knows my deck list, just spent a minute like trying to memorize every card in it, and then is at the level that they're playing on the PT where they will respect it.
Speaking of that open deck list, so kind of like going back to what you said about Neoform and like your opponent mulliganing to those cards to beat you, like, so do you still think Neoform is like a good choice for non-open deck list events?
I think Geoform is like even a fine choice for open deck list events. It's just I think you get such a big buff in closed deck list when people don't know you're trying to tend to kill them that I was expecting matchups that were like slightly favored to be very favored. So like when I'm trying to do like the mental calculus of what my expected win rate with Neoform will be versus a different deck, I think I was a little too biased at the start because I was playing just like online. So
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So we talked about your prep for constructed. I don't want to focus on it because like obviously we're a constructed podcast, but how did you prep for limited?
I mean, it was really nice this time. The set was out for 2 months, so I just tried to do like a draft, like about 1 draft a day. Like some days I did 2, some days I did none. But like you just get enough games in where like I'm not like I would not say I'm a good limited player, but like you figure out how to draft decks a lot easier when you do it a ton. And then we talked about all the cards in the set on Thursday night for a while, and I felt pretty good going into draft.
It's gotta feel good to feel like, hey, I'm not very good at limited, and then to still 3-0 your first draft
Yeah,
pod.
that felt great. I mean, my draft was like just super easy. I opened a blue green Von Rare, then got past blue cards, and then opened a card.
Nice. What were the bomb rares?
I'm so bad at card names. There's like a 1/3 flyer for 2 that whenever you play a land, the creature becomes a 3/3. If you control 6 lands, it becomes a 6/6. So it's basically like in the late game a 2 mana 6/6 flyer, which is obviously ridiculous.
And so I'm not sure how much you remember your tournament. If you do remember it, would love to go through the rounds and just like if there's any interesting. So first constructed round, you played against Justin Shable on Is It Prowess. Justin also ended up top eighting.
My teammate for the event, so it was it was a fun match, but we were both a little like unhappy that we had to play.
Yeah, that's fair.
I went in expecting to lose. It's I think Belcher's worst matchup from like the top decks, and I just like kept every game I kept a hand with a Lotus Bloom. One of the games he killed me. The other two I had the like one piece of interaction I needed to not die. He had kind of bad draws, and I killed him on turn 4.
Yeah. And so round 5, you played against Jesse Hampton, another person that I don't know if you worked with him for this event, but
I've talked with him a bunch. I've cubed with him after events. He did play a second line in game 1. In game 2, I just got a lot of like card advantage and like just like brute force to kill on like turn 7 with like 3 counter spells.
and then in round 6, you finally took your first loss to Johnny Gutman on Aspergorios.
He resolved Psychic Frog on turn 2 both games, I think, and then you lose the game really badly. But like that's kind of the secret of the matchup is if they don't resolve Psychic Frog, the deck doesn't do that much, and like it's pretty easy to stop just a goal.
I gotta ask, did that loss like? I mean, obviously you recovered well, but did that loss like affect your mental at all after like such a strong start?
I mean, I just like started 0-4 the last PT I played. I was very happy to be 5-1. Like I felt like I was playing pretty well, and like I mean anyone who would lock in being 5-1 to start a PT is lying to you. So
Yeah,
that's fine.
no, I mean what you're saying is true, but I just like I think it can be hard to feel that way in the moment. Like I know when I am like deep in a tournament, I take my first loss like 7 rounds in, I'm just like, like I should have gone undefeated today. Like I'm the worst.
I've been trying to work on my mental. Like I think I there's like the mental game of poker is a book I was like I finished on the plane, and like it's applicable. It's like being able to realize when it's variance, when you make mistakes, and how to process like all of it is just been very helpful.
And then so round 7, we got back to winning. Played a mirror against John Schindeldecker.
I think he made like he cast like a word invention in game 2 on his main phase instead of my upkeep, so I was able to win a counter of war with force negation that I would have lost. And I remember doing that, and he was like pretty visibly like not like he was a little shaken after that, I think, and like he was like a little upset with himself. And I think when people show me that they're like having mental issues, I smell blood in the water, and I want to just keep capping.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no, I actually think I'm kind of the same. Where like if my opponent is like visibly tilted, I'm just like, oh, this is so easy. Like I'm already in their head. Like this is mine.
I remember there was some SCG where it was the last round, and if I won, I would be first seed, and if I lost, I'd be 8th seed. And my opponent asked to draw, and I was like, no, I want to play. Saying how this would be their first open top 8, yada yada yada. I'm like, I'm sorry, I want to win the tournament. Being on the entire match, they were just so like upset that they're like, it's so unfair, unlucky. I have to play instead of just drawing. We should just draw, and like just that was just like the easiest match I've ever played.
So round 8, you had another mirror against Mark Perel.
This match was sick. In the last game, I was setting out 2 belchers on the draw, and I had like a Tameo and 3 clues in play and a belcher in hand and a whir in hand, and then he like resolves his Tameshi, starts comboing off. As he miscounted, so he has to like pivot from killing me to like setting up to kill me in 2 turns with like Waterlog teaching for whir of invention. And I'm like, I'm feeling good. I draw my second belcher, so I can no longer whir from my belcher. So I like attack, make my 4th clue with Cameo and say go. Then he untaps, and on his turn he casts whir and says go. On his end step, I just shrug and cast word, tapping all my clues, because why not? And he just like angrily picks up his card. Or like not angry, but like dejectedly picks up his cards without making me show him the belcher, which is it in my deck, because they're both in my hand. So I was like, gonna get a Lotus Bloom and hope to spike out on tap land. But instead he just conceded. So that was like a sick way to end the day. I was feeling really good. Like I'm 7-1 at the PT, and I got there with like kind of a bluff.
No, that's sick. Yeah. I I feel like people do that somewhat often where they just like are in spots where just wait the 30 seconds. Show like you're there all day anyways, just wait the 30 seconds. Make sure they can actually kill you.
Yeah, and like it was like and I'm like I think in his mind he was just like he was frustrated that he made a mistake already, and then like he had it. I'm getting punished, so like God, I just want to be somewhere else. So like it's so easy for like just like the tilt to take control of you because like I've been there, especially online. I'm just like I want to be doing anything else right now.
It's the same thing. Sometimes I'll like put Primeval Titan on the stack. Obviously, I'm a big Amulet enjoyer, and people will just like concede. I'm like, all the haste cards are in my hand. Like I was just gonna like get a Besaju and
Yeah,
bounce land. Like this game is not done,
yeah.
but I'll take the win.
And I
Uh,
think I say it a lot, but like a reasonable percentage of like competitive Magic is just like the ability to sit there and suffer in silence. You're playing a game where you're like 5% to win, and you just have to like accept that you're going to be losing for multiple turns and just be trying to figure out how to win. It's a skill, and I think some people just aren't that good at that skill.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. Similarly, like I had a game like this past week where I was game of Legacy. I'm losing. I'm on Nadu. I have an Nadu out, and I'm just sitting there waiting. I've got like no cards in hand. I'm just every turn drawing a land, saying go. My opponent's like way ahead on board, but also isn't doing too much. And then just like on the last turn, like before they had lethal, I just like top deck a nomads. And then I put like 30 power in play and was like sick. Like, and I think a lot of people would have just conceded to being so behind on board. And not like I had to do anything special. I just had to draw the right card.
Sit there and most of the games you play, you're just not going to draw the nomads, and you just sat there for 3 turns and then died. Like,
Yeah, but like I was going to be there for 4 hours or
yeah,
whatever either way. So
yeah.
like I might as like, does it matter if I'm sitting here looking at my opponent versus sitting here looking at my phone?
Yeah.
Okay. Did the day 7-1, which is insane. I'm sure you're feeling great at that point.
Yeah, my goal was to try to requalify. I wanted to see how many PTs I can play in a row. And 7-1 makes it pretty likely I can play another the next PT. Like I have to get 3 wins tomorrow.
So then you wake up, have another draft, starting off with a win against Shuhei Nakamura has to feel sick.
I think I would have lost the match if we went the feature pod because it was open deck list and his deck had like was built around a combat trick that like gives double strike, and I just wouldn't have played around it in the games if I didn't know he had it because it's not a very good card. But because it was open deck list, I got to see what his deck was doing.
That's actually like really unfortunate. Like obviously it's great for you, but like it it kind of sucks for him.
Yeah, it is like it. I think it is clearly good that it's open deck list because like if not, I would have tried to watch his feature draft because it was the feature drafter before our match.
Yeah. So then unfortunately 2 losses in the rest of the draft. But then we're back to constructed and you play against Adrian. I'm not even going to try to butcher the last name on Espergorios.
But so I was when I was trying to gather people for the testing team, he had reached out and we like had talked a little bit, and then we just like kind of stopped talking halfway through. It was basically he could have been my teammate, but he wasn't. And then our match was really weird. Like in game 1, we traded basically every card in our hand, and I just top deck a Belcher and turn 4 play it. He goes like untap to fairy bounce your Belcher. I like shrug and cast a Belcher. He goes untap, sink it to stupid your Belcher. I shrug and cast a Belcher, and then he was playing Hedge Maze instead of Breeding Pool, so he couldn't fetch untap green, so he couldn't prismatic ending it. So I just like after casting it for a couple turns, I finally killed him. And then game 2, like I basically won with combat damage. Like I technically had a Belcher the last turn, but he was at 1 and I had 3 creatures. It was all consigned.
Dude, multiple wins in this event with combat damage. It's so unlikely.
Yeah, like in testing, we had like a gentleman's agreement, and then we was just not to attack to save time because like we didn't want to track life troubles.
And then you had another Goryo's match against Mateo Ferreira.
Again, very skillfully in game 1, my opponent did not play a land on turn 2, so I took that. And then again in game 2, I kept a hand. I snapshot in a land on turn 2. On turn 1, he just didn't play his fog that he had, and then I do the Stern Scolding. So on turn 3, I could Stern Scolding plus from his Mystical Dispute.
So do you think, I mean, I kind of think I know what your answer is going to be here, but do you think your opponents should have just been jamming the Psychic Frog just always?
like he had a mystical dispute, so it's like I think for him a lot closer. I can't remember who the other person was who said that they just did cast it on two when I think they just shouldn't have because they didn't have a counter spell. But like I don't know, it's a 2 or 3 of in my deck. Like you have to make the lead. I'm siding in Stern Scolding when it doesn't have many targets, and like if I don't have it, the game ends, and if I have it, we traded 1 for 1. So it's like I usually just jam and hope when I play Magic.
That's funny. I'm usually the opposite, but in this situation, it feels like you're just supposed to play it because like you said, the worst case scenario, like a 1 for 1 is totally fine. And the best case scenario is you win. So I'm pretty okay with taking that bet, you know?
Also, if you like, I mean, obviously they didn't know it now, but if they know that I'm just going to shock with like basically 100% of the time just to represent it, because like then it becomes way better to just start doing it every time. Otherwise, like you're just never gonna be able to cast that game out.
Well, I guess also just like as the game goes on, if you have the Stern Scolding, it's not going anywhere. So like you're still going to be able to counter it later. Um, and I guess I'm also just used to Belcher just shocking on turn one, because I have a unfortunately very small local modern scene, but there's a couple Belcher players. So I've played against the deck a lot, and they will just always like bolt in the land. It doesn't matter if they have it, they're just like, I could have it. So I guess maybe I'm just used to that play pattern.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like winning the game on turn 2 versus trading 1 for 1 on turn 2 or turn 5 is like gonna be the same for the most part.
So then you played against Francisco Sanchez on Azorius Control.
Which I think I got pretty lucky. In game 1, his hand, I know after the fact, he had 2 cards and 4 lands, and his hand was Narset, Forced Negation, and he just plays Narset, down ticks, whiffs completely. My hand is just, and I have 4 lands in play, and I draw, I go to my peep, and I tank, and I decide I think the only way I can realistically win this game is like hitting Tameshi and going off. So upkeep, he goes to cut my deck. He sees that one of my sleeves has like some like schmutz on it. So he has the judge like fix my sleeve. And then he insists on cutting my deck instead of the judge, which is whatever. And then I draw and I just like slam a Belcher that I top deck. He draws, down ticks, whiffs, and concedes. And then game 2 we play like I think a normal-ish game, but I just win a counter one eventually.
I gotta say, whenever my opponent plays like a Narset effect or like a Thunder Trap Trainer or Philology Archaeologist, whatever like Malevolent Rumble, where you just like look at some number of cards and then they don't take anything, like I'm just like so ecstatic. I'm just like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like, okay, so then you get a rematch versus Shuhei. Obviously on his Is It Affinity deck, which I feel like his deck was kind of the talk of the tournament. Like I know people were really excited about the weapons manufacturing stuff. And I thought it looked pretty good too. And obviously, like I think players are also just excited when they see um I know Shuhei never really went anywhere, but like when they see like players like older players just like coming and showing like, hey, I still have the stuff. I think Magic players really like that. But how did this match for Shuhei go?
In game 1, I was like set up to kill the next turn, and then I play a suppression ray instead of a draw disruption. And the second I play it and say go, I realize I made a huge mistake because I can't disrupt Initial or Thoughtcast. And then, he has Thoughtcast, or whatever. So, like, I'm feeling really like, this was like, I should have just taken a second. I should have thought, this is like such a big match. Like, and then I bail out by like disrupting, shoreling a Thought Monitor by pitching a Seagate. But that was my untapped land. So we got like 2 extra turns to find a Pithing Needle. Like, it just bricked. And then I don't know, it felt really weird because game 2 he rolls to 4 and I keep a pretty good hand and like I kind of know I'm going to win in some like X turns, and it just like, this is like winning for the a Proto top 8. I wanted like this sick game where like I find a way to play him or something, and it just...
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I would also want a good game there. I would very happily take a bad game in top 8 though, still.
I was very happy to top 8. Like, I was so excited when I won, but it's like, if my opponent's always multi 4, like Magic wouldn't be a fun game. Every now and then I take a...
No, I totally feel you. So this is obviously a much smaller scale. but last RCQ season I played a limited RCQ, and so it's Final Fantasy Draft, and it's just I show up to the event. It's only 8 players there, including me, so it's straight to the draft. Round one, I get paired against like one of my best friends, who's also already queued and doesn't want the second qualification, so he concedes to me. Round two, I have an actual like match against a very strong player, and then round three, my opponent concedes to me and offers a prize split for me that is better than what I would have offered if I were him. It was just like, I text my wife, I'm like, I won. And she's like, excited for me. I'm just like, it just like doesn't even feel like I did anything. Like I kind of showed up and they just handed me the invite, basically, is how I felt. I wanted it, but it also kind of sucks.
Yeah. I think that is also an issue with the RCQ system. Like, especially now that like people who are qualified can keep playing. It's like you go to an
I don't know. Like, I'm pretty on board with them letting people continue to play, but I do see how, like, you know, it is awkward when it's situations like that. But also, there was a season back before there was two. Like, I qualified the first week, and then it was like, I like qualify. Like, it's just like, now what? Like, what do I do?
oh, I agree. Like I had like I've conceded the finals. I conceded the finals of an RCQ in the early weeks because I just won.
Yeah, this might sound dumb. I wish there were like more just like non-RCQ events, is like the other fix. Because it's also like I go to these RCQs and it's like if I have the invite already, then like I don't care about like the $30 prize support or whatever. And it's like, I'm not going to a Magic tournament to get rich or whatever, but like having the incentive there is like it adds to the fun to me. So like I'd much rather go to like a 1K than to like a an RCQ when I don't care about the invite.
Yeah, I miss like the old IQ system where like there were always 1Ks and I could like at least from being in like the northeast could play like a 1K basically every weekend if I wanted to drive.
Yeah, the IQ system was goated. The other thing that I like really missed about it was now stores are able to run a bunch of RCQs, but for me it was really frustrating when the system was still kind of getting figured out and they were like it felt like stores would just overlap their events and then there'd be like nothing the next day or nothing the next week or whatever. And it's like, why are there 5 I could go to today, but 0 I can go to tomorrow or next week? And like with the IQ system, SCG would like require like they wouldn't allow you to run an IQ within a certain proximity of another IQ at the same time. And so like it was kind of nice that they forced stores to spread out their events.
Yeah, I mean for sure. Like I'm like very thankful. Just like Massachusetts, Connecticut area has so many game stores that like for the most part it's never been a huge problem. But like when it is, it's like I want to play an RCQ on Sunday, and there was 3 Saturday.
So at this point you have top aided. I assume you're feeling great. What was the first thing you did after you so your winning in was on camera. So obviously I saw you like get excited, hug some people, but like what was like the first thing you did like after you're out of the area?
So my phone was kind of messed up, so I think it was probably good for me. I just couldn't be like online messaging people, so I was like kind of just had to sit with it by myself for the most part. So like I walked out of the convention center for a minute, walked back in. People were coming up to me saying congrats. It's just like I had to like basically stay there because they like after the fifth like round 16, they want to like do the walk off. They want to do all this stuff, and so I was just like basking in the moment, like about how insane it is that I just pop it in a photo. Like, and then yeah, one of my friends.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, the phone being messed up is funny because I assume eventually it gets turned on and you just like have like a million messages.
People I had to talk to for like I had played FNM with when I was in college were just like messaging me like everyone I knew who was at like New Magic and all with my aunt who doesn't know anything about Magic had me saying I'm watching the stream, rooting for you, and it was just like made me realize how many people are in my life that like care.
So I will be honest. I started to type something and tag you in it, and then I thought about like, and again, this is I mean, most things I've done are smaller scale than top eighting a PT. But like just thinking about like when I got second at GP Hartford, sheer number of messages was overwhelming. And I was like, I'm just not gonna bother him. Like it is really nice having everyone congratulate you. And I'm definitely not telling listeners not to congratulate people, but I was just like, I was like,
I like, you know, like I just can't, I did not feel like I could like give a personalized response to everyone. So it's like, thank you so much.
yeah.
Copy and paste, send, copy and paste, send.
I think when it happened to me, I just stopped responding because like for me, it was like Facebook was the big thing at the time. And like I just like my phone had also like I was in a spot where my phone had died. Um and when I got it charged and turned back on, or maybe I turned it off just to like get space. I don't remember for sure. But when I turned it back on, it was just like over 100 notifications and like Facebook like wouldn't even display them all. I had so many messages. I was just like one generic, thank you everyone. Like move on.
You know, like, yeah, because like I would open my phone and my like Facebook Messenger had like infinite notifications. Then my text messages were blowing up. And then I opened Discord and Discord's like, it just, and then like open Twitter and it's like everything just has like a pile of messages. And it's like, it's nice to know that many people are there, but it's like, I can't engage with that many.
Dude, it is so sick. Like, and I mean, it gets tossed about all the time, but like the best part of Magic is the gathering, right? And so like when you see like, oh, I actually have all these friends, and like sometimes, like it feels like you go to all these tournaments and like sometimes the conversations you have at them can be shallow and sometimes they're really deep, but especially like if you go to an event where you don't get the chance to talk to many people, then sometimes it feels like, okay, like am I actually friends with these people? Like where's my place in the community? So like I'm glad you got to experience that, just like everybody kind of coming and showing support.
Chicks would not be a game I spend so much time on if it wasn't for like getting to see all of them was just so incredible.
So obviously you didn't stop there. So you got into the top 8 and then you're against Noe Offman. Ironically, playing against Neoform, the deck that you had gotten off of. So I imagine you felt pretty good since you knew like exactly how the deck worked.
Yeah, the biggest reason I stopped playing Neoform was I thought it was bad against Belcher and I thought it was bad against Golios. I was like on Thursday, just as a side, I was really happy when I saw the meta with my choice. And then I play against Snowy and you're like, you have the night before, so I was talking with people. My friend Basil played Neoform, so we talked a lot about what up. He was playing 4 Hope of Geoper, which we had tested against or thought about. First 2 games were like pretty easy wins. Like you have just so many free counter spells. And then in game 3, he like sacks Hope of Geoper and when I'm at 7 and plays the Hooting Mandals and he has an Endurance in play. So I'm like, okay, you're just setting up for lethal next turn. And I untap, play it to Meshi, and I just show him you're dead. I have Woven. Then he's like, no, play it out. And then I play it out and I cast Woven Mention. He says, you can't do that. And then I learned that Hope of Geoper sits until your next turn. So I thought I was going to win the match Theo. And if I knew what Hope of Geoper did, I could have bounced, like, Think into Stupas, bounced both his creatures that had 5 counter spells and had it on his turn. And I would have won the match Theo very easily. But instead, I just bounced all of my lands and just to lose the game badly. So that was rough.
Yeah. Reading the card explains the card, but I think me and everybody else who is listening has probably made similar mistakes where you're like, I know what that does. I don't need to read it.
Because in my mind, was like a Statin Vazan Swarm Index, like that didn't play green. Because like in Legacy, it's almost always you sack it and then you call. And I just didn't realize it said that. And then I'm trying to like mentally compose myself because I'm losing this game and I have to go now. I'm going to game 5 and like, I'm just like, please don't let this be a match that I like threw away a 3-0 and like I had to like really. Then he had like a really close decision on one turn whether to go for a Neoform or hope to kill me with the Hooting Mandals. And he went for the Neoform, and if he had just kept the Hooting Mandals, I think I'd have lost. But
so then we move on to the quarters, or sorry, the semis. Playing against Miko. On the mirror. So this is, I know this one was on coverage. I was watching this. It was funny. So you're talking about people who you haven't talked to and forever rooting for you. I was in the group chat, and honestly, I think even though he's not here right now, my co-host Mark might have been rooting for you harder than anyone. And the amount of messages we sent back and forth during this game was like, um, but so I'm going to ask the question that I think a lot of people are wondering about. What was up with not suspending the Lotus Bloom on turn one?
My hand was all tap lands, and I had a flare of denial on hand, and I was like, it's usually fine to not be the first one to fight, because like, assuming he kept on with Lotus Bloom, spend resources, assuming I don't lose that fight, I can untap and probably win the fight to resolve my Bloom and try to go off. And it just did it, and I just felt like I wanted more mana. Whether it was right or wrong, because like they don't show it on camera, but like you just sit with your opening hand for like 2 or 3 minutes because they're like putting all the cards in, making sure all the cameras are right. So I spent a long time thinking about it, and then obviously it looks very natural to let it go. I thought it was the right play. I'm not sure.
Honestly, when you did it, I thought it kind of made sense. I kind of figured I kind of assumed that was the thought process. I don't think I would have gotten there on my own, but when I saw you do it, I was like, okay, I understand what's happening here, and this makes sense to me.
It helped that I had played so much of the mirror because it had come up in testing once or twice that I thought about that play, and I did it because you're playing a testing game, you should try the weird plays.
Yeah, I I played a bit of Belcher, and I gotta say, the mirror to me, like I know some people are like the mirror sucks. I thought it was really interesting personally, but I will say I was copying a sideboard guide, and I didn't really understand. And I think you said you did it too. You're boarding out some number of Belchers
On the draw.
I don't understand what the rationale behind that is. You mind breaking that down for me?
So Belcher is against basically every blue deck. You're trying to like make consigned to memory not a good magic card. Like your goal at the end of games is your opponent to show you a hand of 2 consigned to memories. And having a 4-mana colorless spell is really bad against consigned to memory, so you want to mitigate that. And then you want to just maximize like interactive spells in hand. You're on the draw, so you got to have one more card. So your goal is just like trade 1 for 1 and grind, and then eventually you'll win because you.
Okay, so it's kind of okay. Okay, so essentially you want to resolve it, but you honestly don't want to draw it early. You're happier worrying for it, and you'd rather have interact because that all makes sense. Okay, yeah. So I don't know that we need to talk too much about this match as a whole because it was on camera. But any other sick moments you wanna?
I mean, I don't know if this is true, but I would guess I was the only person to ever play a Pro Tour match 5 games on the play in a row because he chose the draw.
I did forget that had happened, and so that brought us to the finals. Tell me, what was your headspace going into this final match?
It was pretty brutal. So like all the semifinals and all the quarterfinals went to game 5. And our semifinals match, I think, finished before the other semifinal match started. So I had to wait for all of that, and then they'll try to set it up. They wanted to show all 5 games of the semifinal on stream. So I was waiting for the finals match for like 2.5 hours. So like I didn't know what deck I was playing. I thought both the decks I could be playing into like not good matchups. So I was like just trying to like stay calm. I was like watching people side draft, trying to just not think about it and like be ready to sideboard, and that's all I cared about. Have a sideboard plan, have a plan for the matchup.
So yeah, the decks you could have played against being Azorius Control, which is what you did play against, obviously, and then it was Esper Blink was the other possibility, right?
Yeah, those were the 2 decks. I don't think that either of them are matchups I'd be happy. No, I had beaten the guy in the Swiss, so I was like, it's not like it's going to be unwinnable when I found out. Because even when I found out, we had to wait for like an hour.
That's like as a viewer, I thought everything was nicely done, and I'm sure I appreciated whatever they were making you wait for. But yeah, that seems kind of brutal when you're in the moment.
I mean, I get it. Like, I joke that it's the promotional tour, and like, if it wasn't for viewers and like promoting Magic, so like, I'm not like upset with them. It's clearly better for the viewer experience to show all the games. But being in that spot, it's like pretty brutal.
Okay, so finals happened. I was like glued to my screen. I don't. It's funny because I don't actually remember too much about it. But how did you feel once it actually started?
So like, I mean, the first 2 games, I kind of just did the thing. Like, I had enough threats, and his list actually, like, in retrospective, like, he just didn't have that many counter spells in his main deck. So like, just jamming threats every turn was just like a pretty effective strategy against him. and at some point both of that's resolved. Um, there's as a aside, I got like a GRV for suspending a Lotus Bloom after an Orms chant, which I don't think is a reasonable thing for people to know is not legal.
Yeah, that was it was funny because I saw so much conversation about that. That is something I knew, but it is pretty obscure and definitely doesn't come up much. And then people were like, "Oh, he was cheating." It's like he was not cheating.
Like, yeah, there was someone made a video that had like a clickbait title of my face saying like "Proto Winner Cheater?" question mark, and I just like I think if you watch the video, it's most reasonable people will deem that I was not cheating. But it got like 200,000 views, and I had people that don't really play Magic that much who just saw the thumbnail and messaged me about it. And it's like, it kind of sucked that I think if some percentage of people will just now associate me with being a cheater for not knowing a pretty convoluted rules interaction that just wouldn't exist on modern card design.
Yeah, that is frustrating because that shouldn't like you don't want that hanging over it, especially when you didn't cheat. Also, it's kind of interesting to me that people would message you about it because, like, I think right when it comes out, like, they'd want to show you too. But like in my mind, do you mean like were people like asking you about it?
It was just
Because
like
like,
asking what happened and like
what are you supposed to say? Like, oh yeah, I cheated.
yeah,
I wanted to win really
it was
bad.
actively detrimental to me because I drew one less card in the next round of Seagate Restoration. But and it's just like anyone who plays Magic, I hope knows that like that is not like a thing that people. I don't think I would cheat in such a like dumb way on camera. Like if my goal was to cheat at Magic Gathering tournaments, like that probably doesn't increase my win percentage by any meaningful amount. Like
So moving on from the GRV, you get the first two games pretty easily. You get to game or
yeah,
yeah, so then you get to game three.
I mean, I look at my opener and I have Tamio, which has to be the best possible card to be in my opening hand. And I start making clues. There's like a turn where I can like choose to flip Tamio, but if he has his Oathcast stock up, and if he has his like fifth 3-mana Planeswalker, it's like pretty bad if I flip Tamio, as opposed to look for another counterspell. And I think this is one of the spots I thought the most on, and I still don't always fight, but I'm like, two draws for a counterspell as opposed to 5. I basically just, the game ends if I get a counterspell on those 2 clues, and if not, and he doesn't have the Planeswalker, I'm basically gonna win. He has the Planeswalker and I don't hit the counterspell, then we just have this like weird game where like, he has Narset Teferi in play, and I have a Tameo, and I'm just casting bad limited cards, trying to like find a way to win. And then the turn I cast a Philosophy, and I think he makes a really big mistake and doesn't consign the Philosophy trigger. And I mill suppression ways. I know what it does. I know he might not, so I like immediately take it out of its sleeve and cast it. And yeah, I draw 15 cards and he doesn't top deck. I think he had 3 outs at that point, and he bricks and I win. Like, and I just know I'm gonna win for 3 turns, so I just have to like mentally compose myself, knowing I've won the PT and knowing I have to like just play out the like winning end game, like chess end game or whatever.
I'll be honest. I think when you resolved the Tameo on turn 1 in my group chat, I was like, he did it. He won. I was like, clearly this Tameo can't be beat. Maybe that was premature, but I was right.
I had a couple friends say the same. It was like, oh, the game ended. He has the Tameo on 1, but I thought I was gonna lose when he attacked Teferi Narset and play.
I thought there was like a turn where things looked like they could go wrong. And then I was like, nah, it's fine. It's fine. We got this. If I remember correctly, I don't think he drew the best either, which definitely didn't help. Like, I think he like bricked on lands.
Yeah, he missed his 4th land, which I think is, in retrospective, maybe should have been more of a sign in my head. He's like watching the match back. I think I was supposed to have killed the Teferi, not the Narset, and just downtick to get a counterspell because I had a stock up in my graveyard. So I think I can like Tamio get back a counterspell so he has no outs the next turn to like play a card that beats me, and then the turn after get back stock up and like slowly grind it out. But I just in the moment, I'm just like, I'm gonna.
Yeah, the Ultimating Tameo turns out is strong. Who knew? Um, okay, cool. So if people want to be able to do cool things like win the PT like you have a guide, right?
Yeah, the link's in my Twitter at me and the guy. I mean, it's a pretty good guide. It's basically the sideboard notes I used. We have a lot of matchup notes, which are the matchup notes I went into every matchup with. Like, it's basically what I did to play the PT.
Sick. So what's next for you?
I'm gonna go to Houston, want to hang out with people. Seems like a fun event. Baltimore's in driving distance, so I'll probably go to Baltimore.
So are you going to run back Belcher in Houston? Are you going to do something else?
Like, I'm gonna play a few different decks, but like, it's hard not to play the deck you just won the PT with.
Yeah, that's fair. I wasn't sure. You might be like, oh, I would just want to play like my pet deck. I don't necessarily know that you have a pet deck, but
Not for the most part. Like, I feel like formats change too quickly to have too much of a pet deck type that
I mean, I've had Amulet for for 7 years.
is the exception. I'll give you that.
Well, it's always good.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But even
Um,
Amulet's like not like I played Amulet in like 2016 or 2017, and that's just not the same deck anymore. Like it was like a toolbox value deck in most matches.
yeah, no, it is actually wildly different, and at different points, it has felt very different. Like I actually hated the way the initial versions played out. Like with like Serum Visions and like and Summer Blooms and everything. Like it was really good, but like I really didn't enjoy that. And that was like all in combo. And then you're right, it got a lot more mid-rangey. And then with Dryad, it got a lot easier. And then the Field of the Dead felt very different. And now the analyst loops make it feel very different. So it's been around, but it's like felt like radically different.
Like Telerio Westing for like my Walking Ballista that I like get back with Academy Ruins every turn was like super fun.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
That's what I
There's
did.
been a lot of fun cards that have gone in and out of that deck. Rurixar was a personal favorite.
Played my fair share of Voxar.
Has to attack each turn though. So that sucks. Um, yeah. Anyways, okay, cool. So we know what's coming up next for you. So obviously you won the PT, still digesting it, but like, sick. This is kind of just a question I like to ask. If you had one like piece of advice for players who are trying to get better, what would it be?
I mean, just I think Magic for the most part now has way more stuff going on than when I was started playing competitive Magic. So just like figure out the deck you want to play and like be sure you understand what your goal is in basically every matchup. Like felt like that was my biggest breakthrough last year was showing up to a tournament, knowing what my deck's goal in every matchup was and how to try to like play towards that, as opposed to just having a sideboard guide or kind of knowing I'm
So like how do you go about like how would you suggest people go about figuring out what their plan should be? Like do you think it's better for them to kind of get out on the moto streets and play for themselves? Do you think it's better to like find friends to talk with and test with? Do you think it's better to buy guides, a mix of all three?
I think guides are good, like really good starting points. Assuming you trust the person who wrote the guide, wrote a good guide, and it's more than just a sideboard guide. You like kind of understand where that person's coming from with their plans, and then if your friends who are playing the deck, talk to them about what they're trying to do in the matchups. You never want to feel like the people you're like practicing with and playing with don't have the same like goal of X, or they're just not playing your deck at all. Like find people who want to play the same deck as you. It helps a lot. Just like play games with people. Like every major tournament, I think these days is open deck list. So Moto is less effective because closed deck list is just a different game.
Yeah, that's fair. Actually, something that I've actually started doing, and it's not perfect, but like in the lead up to RCs, I've started just like going in chat, like in Moto immediately and being like, I'm testing for the RC. This is what I'm on. I would love it if you'd share, as well. And like some people do and some people don't, but it's it is really nice when they are also testing for an RC and it's like, oh yeah, this is perfect. And some of them is great. Like you'll ask like, okay, how many copies of this? And they'll be honest. And then other people are like, I'm just trying to make play points, man. It's like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, that seems like a great strategy. Like it's kind of a free will to ask. Like some percent of people are going to be like, scum me and just lie to you about what deck. But I think that's going to be a very small percent.
I actually have not had that happen yet. I've had people just say like, I'm not going to share. I'd be pretty pissed if somebody lied. I mean, I wouldn't have any recourse, but but yeah, just say no. Don't lie.
Yeah. Like lying seem like I feel like for the most part, I'll just give them the list because I think open decklist Magic is a better game because like you don't have the issue where you keep a hand of 3 lands and 4 removal spells and your opponent's not playing creatures or whatever. It's like Magic's more fun when you can keep mulligan hands based on your deck and play it.
Okay, well, I know we're about that time, so I think we should wrap up, but just want to thank you again for coming on, especially on such short notice. Also, I do have to say we've played a few times, and I believe currently the record has me ahead. But I think after your win, I have to concede that you might be the better Michael when it comes to playing Magic. Thank you for coming on, gracing us with your knowledge.
Thank you for having me. I don't know about the head-to-head, but I guess I'll believe.
I think it's really close. I want to say it's like 3-2.
I know that I beat you in the online TTQ I won, so I don't know if you're counting that one.
I think I'm only thinking of paper play, so could be dead even. Who knows? But either way, thanks for coming on. For the listeners, thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks. And don't forget to follow Michael on. Are you on Twitter and Blue Sky or just Twitter?
Just Twitter.
Don't forget to follow him on Twitter at TopChimp420. Don't forget to follow the cast. You can just go to ewcast.com to get all our information, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Michael DeBenedetto-Plummer wins the Pro Tour.